Alright, little guy. You better go back outside before you get trapped in here. It's a toad, by the way. Hey guys, welcome back. Behind me is the 2007 Toyota Rav4. This is the one that we did the piston and ring replacement on. It's a 2.4 liter 2AZ, and at the time that we repaired the engine, it was burning about a quart of oil in 400 miles. And this is a follow-up video. We're going to find out if it's really fixed. And I'll let the cat out of the bag and say, I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, let's get started. So when the engine came out, the car had, I think it had 204,500 miles on it. And I just looked at the odometer, it's just over 211,000 miles right now. So it's past its normal oil change interval. I've just been super crazy busy trying to move my shop and everything, and I haven't gotten it done. So we're here today to change the oil, but I thought we'd take a look. So that's the coolant level right there on the expansion tank, and I have not added any coolant to this engine since I put it together. So I did replace the coolant with the factory Toyota extended life coolant, and it's right on the low mark, which the engine's cold, so that ought to be just fine. So there's the oil level right there. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's about, I don't know, a fourth of the way above the add mark. So the engine has used a little bit of oil, but it's been about 6,500 miles since I put the oil in, and these are brand new engine parts, so I don't think that's anything to be worried about. Like I said before, it was going through a quart of oil in 400 miles. So we're talking, what, 2/3 of a quart, 3/4 of a quart in 6,500 miles. I think that's just fine. Yeah, I'll just drain the oil real quick, but there's the drain plug. Nice and clean, no metal. And the oil pan and everything's nice and dry, so we're looking really good. Alright, I got a new genuine Toyota oil filter, and I also have a new sealing washer for the oil drain plug. Now, the Flat Rate Master, if you guys ever watch him, he did a video not terribly long ago about how he always uses the OEM filter and how he always replaces the sealing washer on the oil drain plug. So I can't really fault his logic on that. You know, he typically knows what he's talking about. But personally, I think it's a little bit overkill to always mandate that you use the OEM filter. There's a lot of really good aftermarket oil filters. Just remember that you get what you pay for. And in fact, I use a lot of the Napa Gold oil filters, and in a lot of cases they're much more expensive than the OEM filter. For example, on the Power Stroke diesel engines, usually the OEM filters are like half the price of a Napa Gold filter, but I think they work better, especially on the 7.3 Power Strokes. The sealing ring is a lot better on the Napa filter than it is on the Motorcraft. And then as far as the sealing ring goes, I know for sure the copper ones really aren't supposed to be used multiple times, but everybody does it. My personal feeling is that if you look at the oil pan and you see a big, wet spot where it's been leaking, then it's a good idea to replace it. But if everything looks nice and tight and dry, then you're probably okay just to reuse it. But that's my personal opinion. So if you guys watch the Flat Rate Master, and I think you should, he's got some good content. One of the things he really preaches on his channel is developing good habits, and I think he's absolutely right. A lot of work for mechanics is repetitive type work, so if you develop good habits early on, it becomes basically just a reflex action, and you're less likely to screw things up, especially like oil changes get so monotonous and boring and tedious that your brain just tunes out. So good habits will keep your autopilot pointed in the right direction. So anyway, oil filter's got a little plastic thing on it. Make sure you get rid of that. And you do not, these Toyota filters come with a little bit of grease on them, so you don't need to smear oil on it. You can if you want. And then it's always a good idea to look up at the filter housing right here, the filter base, and make sure that there's not an O-ring already stuck to it. If you double stack those O-rings, it's gonna leak for sure. And again, every manufacturer has their own guideline as far as tightness for the oil filter. Some guys like to tighten them until they touch and then go another half turn or quarter turn or 3/4 of a turn, or some even have a torque spec. Personally, I just tighten them as tight as I can tighten them by hand, and that's pretty tight. So there we go. So the same basic rule for the drain plug. Make sure you're not double stacked. So you see right here, the old sealing washer is actually stuck to the pan. So that would have made a real bad day for us if we double stacked the sealing washers. And it's never going to stop dripping, so just wait till it slows down, put the plug back in. And then something else that you really need to get into a habit of, when it comes to oil drain plugs of any kind, there's only two options. It's either completely out or it's in and it's tightened. You don't ever want to put a drain plug in loose, because visually you cannot tell that it hasn't been tightened down. And what happens is you fill the car up with oil, everything looks good, and then 1,000 miles down the road this thing rattles loose, and pretty soon you lose all your oil and you lose your engine. So it's either out or it's in and it's tight. Yeah, it looks like this front cover has come loose. I replaced a bunch of these little plastic clips, and I guess these aftermarket ones that I installed were not nearly as good as the original Toyota ones, because it didn't even make 5,000 miles. But I got some spares, so let's see if we can patch it back up. Well, the front of the vehicle looks pretty good, but we've got some serious problems here at the back. So this is the rear differential. That's the prop shaft coming back. Check out this U-joint. That's not good. Yeah, that makes a heck of a racket going down the road, I'm sure. So, yeah, we're gonna have to replace that. I can't do it tonight. It's already, I think it's like 9:30 at night. So I think what I'll do, I'll just take this prop shaft completely out, and she can drive it as a front wheel drive car for a while until we can get parts. So the next problem is, this is the rear sway bar. Check out this sway bar link. I don't think you're supposed to be able to do that, and it's actually broken on both sides. The whole sway bar is just free to go wherever it wants. So we need two sway bar links. Well, I'd say all the tires need to be replaced, but this one is completely spanked. I don't know what's going on. The wheel bearing's good. There's no play in the suspension, but it's just a crazy wear pattern. It's clear through that primary layer of rubber here. That's going to be down to the cords pretty quick. So I don't know. The rest of them, I think we'll make it for a little while, a couple weeks till we can get some new tires on, but this one's getting replaced. Luckily these Rav4s have a full-size spare, so I'll just throw the spare tire on it for now. But yeah, I don't know. She's getting some new tires, I'd say. Alright, if you guys have the maintenance required light right here, I'll show you how to reset that. It's super easy on these Toyotas. So what you want to do is toggle to trip A on the display, and then shut the key off. Now hold the button down, turn the key on, you'll see those dashes, and it should count down to 0, and then you can let go. And if we start the car up, voila, no maintenance light. Alright guys, the old Toyota, she lives to fight another day. We got the oil changed and we gave it a once over. Everything we've done with the engine has been totally successful. It's really not using any oil to speak of, and everything runs good, nice and dry. But we do have a little bit of work to do, so I'll probably bring you guys back when I get a U-joint and a couple of sway bar links, and I can show you guys how I do that kind of stuff. Everything else looks okay. Brakes are good, wheel bearings are good. It definitely needs struts and shocks, but I don't know if we'll get to that in the next video or not. Okay, I've had a number of people ask me exactly what the part numbers were that I bought and what the prices were that I paid. So here it is. The top line, that's the kit that has all the rings and gaskets and everything that you need. And then these are the pistons. I have C's and B's. I did not have A's. Then I bought coolant, the FIPG silicone stuff, a filter, and 4 spark plugs. This down here, that's an oil fill cap that I ordered. You wouldn't need that. And then this bottom line is the 1 head bolt that I replaced. So I have a wholesale account with this dealership, so what I pay is what it says over here under net. If you walk in and just try to purchase these over the counter, most likely you're going to pay this something close to this list price. I don't know if their pricing is national or if it varies by the dealership. This is what I paid at my local dealership. Anyway, these are the numbers that I had. I don't know at this time if there's been a revision to any of these part numbers, but these were good part numbers as of this date. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. Okay guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm going to bed.